Hey everybody, happy Bad Batch Day, and welcome to another Canon Collector reaction to the Bad Batch. This time, Episode 9. Let's go check out the title here. Episode 9, entitled Bounty Lost. The Batch embark on a rescue mission. This is pretty much what we thought. I didn't think that there was going to be too much fooling around this week. It wouldn't have felt right given what we got in Episode 8 with Omega being taken, and especially the introduction of Cad Bane. I really think they may double down in this episode, and given some of the teaser images that we've seen on Disney Plus right now, it seems like it may be a fairly big Cad Bane centered episode. At least I feel like we're going to be following Omega for a little bit. So I'm not sure how much of the two worlds are going to collide in this particular episode, but I'm really interested to see if we're going to be going to see Sid at this point, if the Batch are going to go back there, try to gain some intel, and then shoot off on their way to go find Omega, if they're just going to try to track down Omega themselves, if they're going to use somebody like Rex or somebody else to hopefully have some information on where Cad Bane may be. This is super interesting. I could see us also potentially going back to Camino at some point, because I'm pretty sure that's where Cad Bane is headed. Like I said, there's 100 different paths that we can go down at this point, and I don't have too much speculation going into this, because really, with that kidnapping of Omega in the last episode, that really kind of cleaned the slate on a lot of things that we had before it. So now we're really in a position where we can go, like I was saying, in 100 different directions. And I'm really happy about this, because this really not buys us necessarily another 8 episodes, like it's been a chore to watch all of these. But I think that, you know, the frustrations that I was having a few weeks ago are definitely gone now at this point. And I think it would take quite a few episodes of kind of the same old for me to feel that way again. I think we're really going to be getting just a straight up action-packed rest of the season. I don't think that we're going to be getting too much of the fluff that we were sort of in the middle of this first half of the season. But I think all of that fluff, if you want to call it filler, I don't call it filler, because it really did cement the character of Omega, the rest of the Bad Batch, and their relationship together. I think that all of that was necessary to move forward into these next 8 or so episodes that I think are just going to be very jam-packed with stuff. I don't know if we're going to be getting crazy amounts of canon, but as far as story for this actual Bad Batch series, I think this is going to be crazy big, these next handful of episodes at least. I'm very interested to see how long this is going to take to get Omega back. Because it could take just this episode, this could be it, or it could take many episodes. I have no clue. I'm also really excited to see if Fennec does play a role in the rest of this season. I'm very much expecting that she will return. I'm not sure if we've gotten through all of the trailer footage that she's had. I'm gonna just guess that maybe we have, but it would be interesting to see why they introduced her and what the rest of her story is, if she is a friend of Cad Bane or an opponent, because it kind of seems like she's an opponent at this point. So it would be interesting to see a few different bounty hunters sort of fight over Omega in trying to bring her back to Camino, if that's where this is going. I mean, everything has been pretty much like heavily hinted at. I mean, it's pretty much not a guess at this point, but you never know. There could be a weird little twist here somewhere. I don't think she's going to the Emperor, but like, maybe. You never know. You never know if some of these bounty hunters are working for different individuals. That could totally be a thing. Maybe Fennec is working for the Kaminoans and Cad Bane's working for the Emperor. But I don't know, that feels a little weird. And I'm not going to get my hopes up for too much of the Emperor in this show, although I would like to see the Emperor pop up at some point in time. It just would be nice. More than that episode 3 speech that we got at the beginning of the Bad Batch. So I'm still hopeful for that. I'm still hopeful for seeing Tarkin again and some of the other Empire playing a bigger role, or playing a role at all, I guess, really. We're kind of on an Empire drought right now, and I'm definitely eager for more. We got a little bit last week with Crosshair returning and all of his forces, but I want to see some more. And I'm very, very excited for when we're finally going to cross over from Clone Trooper to Stormtrooper. But I'm not expecting a lot of that just yet in this episode. With Cad Bane being a big presence, hopefully in this episode number 9, it would be cool to see some Boba hints, or to see if that may be a thing throughout the rest of the series. So I don't know. I could sit here and speculate all day on the things that I want to see, what could happen in the episode, but there's just too many options at this point to like solidly figure out what we're going to see in this episode or what we're going to see in the next few episodes. So let's dive right in to episode 9, Bounty Lost. All right, here we go. The Bad Batch. All right, Bounty Lost. Where are we going to be? Okay. We really just started right out here, didn't we?
That bounty hunter. The only vessel in our scanners is Crosshairs.
Ooh.
Right on top of us. Don't let them get away.
Jeez, he got burned bad. He's kind of looking like Dengar a little bit, huh? Get out of there, boys. Just get out of there. There we go. I am very interested in this. I really want to get a lot of this in this episode. Let's just hang with Cad Bane and Omega. And Seth Green. Gotta love him.
Mr. Bane does not respond well to prisoners who are difficult.
Ooh, here he is.
How's my asset doing?
My name
The
is
asset. Ha! This music is fantastic.
For me?
But when will you have time to fix my leg? It is quite inconvenient. Bane, did you hear?
Can we just get a Cad Bane game that's just a Red Dead port with Cad Bane? I would be so down. So down.
I have the girl.
What is her condition?
All right, it's official.
5.
He's working for the
So I
Kaminoans.
expect a premium.
See that she stays that way.
Bring the bounty hunter his payment and recover our property. Once you have retrieved the genetic material needed, terminate her.
Oh, man. Hoo, boy.
I could fix your leg if you want. It's a simple booster adjustment. I've done it a bunch of times for AZ3 back on Camino.
I am quite capable of completing my own repairs.
Have it your way.
She's smart, that Omega. She's smart.
Is a match to one from the Republic's files. That's him.
There you go, boys.
I further analyzed Omega's genetic profile and discovered she has pure first-generation DNA.
Whoa.
All clones were created from a host
Huh.
named Django Fett. While our genetic structure was modified for growth, acceleration, and obedience, Omega is a pure genetic replication.
Ah, I knew it.
Like that
Okay.
exist. To my knowledge, there's only one other.
There's...
A male
Oh,
clone,
yep.
Codenamed Alpha, later referred to as Boba.
Ah,
Since
dude.
the start of the war, that makes Omega the sole living source of Fett's
Yo, we got a name drop.
She's vital to the Kaminoans' cloning operation.
All right. Okay.
Not
We're getting
that.
somewhere here.
Look, you need to rewire the servos in your hip first.
Oh, all right, but make it quick. And do not
Ooh.
open this to anyone.
I think he might eat it.
Not. Let's get to work.
Do not try anything funny. Mr. Bane will be back shortly.
How long have you been
Is she
working
putting that on backwards, or is that joint able to go both
I am his
ways?
trusted confidant. It is misaligned.
Ah.
I need to adjust the calibration, but be careful.
Oh, yeah. She's gonna shut you down, boy.
Yes, that's
Or
what
not.
it feels. Brand
Nope. Yep. She's doing it. She went for it.
Sorry.
Yo. Little Bespin action, huh? Did they say it was Bespin? Did I, like, totally miss that again?
What's taking so long?
Bum, bum, bum.
Hello? Is it
Yeah,
me?
she got out.
Can you hear me?
Oop. Yup. It's over.
It really does feel brand new.
You'll soon find out.
Somebody else is here. I don't think that's the batch, and I don't know if that's the Kaminoans. Whoa, boy.
Torn way?
He's right.
Yo, Fennec, what up? Oh, yeah. Oh, so she killed... So she's not working for the Kaminoans.
Got no business messing with my score.
Yet, I'm the one who has the payment.
That's my case.
Oh, okay.
Hand it over and I'll let you
Maybe she was?
How about a trade? The case for the girl.
She wants
fair.
Omega. Yeah, okay.
You
Why does
first.
she want Omega? Oh, bye-bye credits. I kind of want her to go with Fennec just to see what Fennec is up to right now. Kablooey. What is this? Oh, whoa. Yo, is this? This looks like from the Mando. This looks like those same sort of deals. It all makes sense. Those scientists had ties to Camino. What sort of like weird clone facility is this?
Omega, I'm trying to help you.
You said the same thing on Pantora.
There you are. You are coming with.
Oh no. Crack that.
It's time to go, Omega.
Ew. I really want to know what Fennec wants with Omega. Get out of there, Omega. Get out of there. Oh, nice. Good call, Omega. You got this, girl. Take off. At the same time, though, I really want you to leave with Fennec.
Where do you think you were going?
You think that thing is on a predetermined course, just like straight to Camino? 'Cause that would kind of suck.
Get to the ship.
Yo, a little flamethrower. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We are not in the clear just yet, everyone. And I do not think we want to go to the surface of this planet. Oh, boy.
Omega!
Hey! Yo, nice. Oh, boy. Little sabotage, Fennec, huh? Yup. All right, Fennec, all right.
I require an update.
Omega was rescued by the same clones I encountered on Pantora.
Oh.
But that will cost extra.
As long as she is not in the hands of Lamasu, she is safe.
Okay. I like that. Big time.
Omega, you don't have to worry. You are never going back to Camino.
Let's hope that's a promise.
Promise.
Good. Good. All right. Nice. Okay. All right. So that was very interesting. I thought it was a really great episode. I really loved what they did. I loved all the information that we got in it, but I do feel like that whole thing was a little rushed. I felt like that could have been multiple episodes, and I would have been totally fine with Omega being gone for multiple episodes. But this definitely opens up more pathways, more routes we could go down, how this could all turn out. And I really wonder if this is going to go back to that sort of week by week mission of the week sort of thing that we were doing just a few episodes ago, or if this is going to be just a straight up bounty hunter sort of, flea fest. Because I could absolutely see more bounty hunters coming into play, and it would be cool if we got some original trilogy bounty hunters in this show. That would be really awesome to to see more of them come into play and try to take Omega. Obviously, I do not think we're done with Cad Bane. There's no way that we're done with him at this point. And Fennec. And I don't think that that's the end of that story for either of them. I think Fennec is going to be in a lot more of this as well as Cad Bane. Yeah, and I just do love the information and everything that we got in this episode. It really answers just kind of the last few little lingering questions that we've had from the first half of this season. I mean, there's still some major questions and major things that are going on over the top of all of this, but we definitely get answers as far as Fennec goes and what's going on with her. And I really like what they did with her story arc, not just in this show, but for Star Wars in general, because it definitely is showing that she is a bounty hunter, but she does have morals. You know, she's not a completely terrible person. I think she chose the right side, you know, as far as the Kaminoans go, with Lama Su just wanting her for DNA to be able to replicate more clones and do more of that, and then just disposing of her after, where Fennec was going to essentially save her, which you could see in that one Fennec episode, that definitely was a thread that they were working with. It really provides a lot for what we're going to see, what we have seen in The Mandalorian, what we're hopefully going to see in Book of Boba Fett. And this brings up so many other things, just with simple confirmation that Boba is the Alpha and, you know, Omega is Omega. It's really cool that she is sort of, you know, she is also a somewhat genetically unmodified version of Jango. So this just blows it wide open for, you know, Fennec, who has had experience with essentially Boba, you know, a clone of Jango, an unaltered or a somewhat unaltered clone of Jango. So this adds so much to why she links up with Boba in The Mandalorian and for the Book of Boba Fett. This gives so much more credence. Every week we're getting more and more evidence that I think Boba is going to eventually show up in this show. There's like no way that that's not going to happen at this point. This is absolutely beautiful, and it's perfect storytelling for everything they're going to be doing in live action. This is key. I think that this is really important for getting live action fans to start watching animation, because I think a lot of this is pertinent to what Book of Boba Fett is, what we've seen of The Mandalorian, you know, of him in The Mandalorian. This is big. This is big. And every week, you know, we started off this show with some very small connections to Boba and just subtle little hints. But I think this episode really just blows it out of the water with sort of naming Boba in this episode, really bringing him to light. And then having more of that connection between Fennec and Omega, which helps the connection between Fennec and Boba. Wow. I am very excited for what we're going to potentially see in maybe the finale. That's where I think that may happen. I think something very, very big is going to happen there, potentially leading us into Book of Boba Fett. Like I've talked about before, it would be incredible to see a live action version of a scene from The Bad Batch. And I really think that may happen. I think that it's just a very smart move, and it would really marry these two worlds very, very well. From here on out, there is no doubt in my mind that animation is going to be playing a very, very key role in the rest of Star Wars. I think that this episode says it all to me. That's no doubt in my mind. They are all in on animation. And if you can't see that at this point with 9 episodes in, especially after this episode, then, ooh boy, look a little deeper, man, because, like, this is crazy. We also got some similar, you know, sort of clone preservation tube sort of technology that we see in The Mandalorian in this episode. Another little link. And we already knew that the scientists in The Mandalorian were, you know, had some affiliation with Kamino. So I wonder if we're going to see that, at least at some point within this series. I wonder if we're going to meet that doctor and see what that's about, or potentially see the transition from Kamino with the Kaminoans to potentially an Empire takeover. Because I think that's where this is headed. I definitely think the Empire is going to be fully taking over Kamino in all of their resources, their technology, and their knowledge. I don't think they're going to probably make it out of this series alive. I could absolutely see them being wiped out, or at least relegated to some form of servant-like role. I don't think they are going to be a free people for quite a while. Like I said, this episode felt like this could have been multiple episodes, but I'm glad that we get it in one. To a certain degree, I think the tension could have been brought up a little more, and I think there's some interesting things they could have done if Omega was away from them for so long. But I do think that it detracts a little bit from the actual Bad Batch story, because I feel like that would get repetitive for too many episodes if they were just constantly going from point to point trying to find where Omega is. So in that regard, I'm happy that it's over at this point, but at the same time, I think the tension could have been dragged out a little bit longer. I wouldn't have been mad with that at all. And it would have been nice for Omega to be with Fennec or with Cad to get more answers and a little more exposition, a little more information on what their positions are and what's going on with them. It would have been nice to be with Fennec and potentially get some more Boba information or to see more of that, but I definitely think that that's coming. We have... How many episodes do we have left? We have 7 episodes left. So there is just tons of stuff that we can do with this. This is, most of these streaming shows are like 8 to 10 episodes tops. Granted, most of those are about 45 minutes to an hour long. The ones that only go, 8 to 10. But that first season of The Mandalorian was sticking somewhere around that 30-minute mark for each episode. And they pulled off 8 episodes really well. So this is like, there is so much story that we can get to in this. This is like essentially the amount of story that you could get in a live action show. We're getting double of it. Without a doubt, we're getting double the amount of story, which is why I think we're seeing, it's generally why you get filler episodes and things, which is why I'm glad they went from, I think a normal TV show is about 22 episodes. A normal, at least an animated show like this, is somewhere in the realm of 22 episodes in a season. And I'm glad that they shrunk that down to 16. So that's an extra 8 episodes that, or is that 8? No, that's 6. So that's an extra, that's 6 episodes that we get to cut out of this. So there really shouldn't be too much fluff and filler. But I get why they do some of these Mission of the Week episodes to strengthen ideas and themes that they want to get across in this show. But they don't have to be too fillery with this 16 episode run. So this is fantastic. So I get some of those little lulls in the series, and I'm kind of thinking that most of those are going to be behind us at this point. I can't necessarily see us getting too many more lulls in this series, just because there's a lot of pressure on them now. I don't think that they can just hang out and do jobs for Sid at this point. Maybe one, but something's going to go wrong. Something's going to happen. We're going to see more bounty hunters, impede those missions. So I definitely think they have to get to a stable ground where the Kaminoans aren't necessarily after them. And we definitely know Lama Su is going to be pursuing this. I'm trying to think of any other sort of unanswered questions that we've had at this point. Obviously there are some big ones for the overall story of just where this is going to land and where we're going to end. But for the most part, most of the things that we have wondered about have been answered at this point in the show. So even like we thought last week, or I felt last week, was kind of a clean slated for the rest of the season, this even more so, because we've gotten all those little other answers that we've wanted. What the Kaminoans are after, why they're after Omega, why Omega was sort of let go originally, and now they want her back, but we know that wasn't all the Kaminoans. Lama Su is not a part of that decision to let her ride off with the Bad Batch. Lama Su wants her on Kamino to have some DNA extracted. But the only question that I can think of is, what are they exactly doing with that DNA? What are their exact plans? I know that they are trying to, jumpstart more of the clones, you know, they need new DNA, they need fresher DNA to be able to continue to do what they're doing. But I think they have some other stuff up their sleeve, and it kind of sounded like they have some alternate plans for either making the Empire want what they're able to produce, or potentially create an army of their own, or provide somebody else with an army that can take down the Empire. That would be really interesting to see if they work with the rebellion at all. That would be very weird, but it seems like one way or the other, the Kaminoans are going to get what they want. Obviously, I don't think that works out for them in the long run, but they're going to attempt to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there and who wins that battle, or not necessarily who wins that battle, but how that battle will be won, because it most likely will be won by the Empire. Are they going to do a full takeover? Is what we see in The Mandalorian ties to, you know, kind of clues to the end of Kamino? Or is that a completely separate thing? Are those, you know, are we drawing connections to things that aren't really necessarily meant to be drawn? Those are the questions I hope we somewhat get answers to by the end of the show. I don't know if exactly we will, but I'm kind of hoping that they put somewhat of a bow on this show at the end for this finale, not necessarily in the sense that the story couldn't continue or that this is it, but at least right now that we don't have major confirmation that this will be going multiple seasons, it would be nice to have somewhat of a tie on some of these bigger questions. And I think in Star Wars stories, you're always going to have really giant, overarching questions that just will not be answered within a series. If this goes 10 seasons, we may never get the full answer, so that ties into other Star Wars projects. I think that is a smart way of doing this. So I wouldn't be mad if we left some pretty big overarching things at the end of the season, but tying up some of this, at least to what is going on with Kamino and potentially the beginnings of the Empire's sort of hostile takeover, which I'm just assuming at this point. That could be completely inaccurate, but I think that it's likely that it'll happen. I can't see the Empire leaving a power that big, especially given what we know from Rise of Skywalker and Palpatine's clone and Snoke and all of that. I think that is a smart, that would be a very stupid move of them to leave Kamino pretty unchecked. Man, and that says so much for this show. Is very smart in setting up a lot of this backstory that's like very applicable to the overall story of what's going on in Star Wars, from The Mandalorian to The Rise of Skywalker and the sequel trilogy. This is just a very smart move on them, I think, to be going down these pathways, because a lot of people have talked about how The Mandalorian is going to make some adjustments or is going to explain some things that wasn't necessarily explained in the sequel trilogy, hopefully doing what the Clone Wars animated series did for the prequel trilogy for people who had issues with that. I think that, you know, The Mandalorian is going to play a big role in that, as well as just kind of all of the overall Disney Plus interconnected shows, but this is genius. Bringing it to animation, which, like I said, will draw people to animation for the ones who are just live action fans, but it's giving you backstory that I don't feel like you totally need if you aren't a super hardcore fan of Star Wars. People like us who want every last little bit of information, the canon collectors, this stuff is fantastic, and this does bridge the gap between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy while giving a lot of ties and nods to things that occur in the sequel trilogy. It's very exciting to see where we could be going with this. I'm a little, like last week too, I'm a little foggy. There's 100 possibilities, but I don't think that there's anything that's super clear at this point. I felt like there have been some very clear, this is probably going to happen in some of the episodes before these last two, but in episode 8 and episode 9, we are very clean slate, and moving forward is going to be really interesting. And this is kind of the storytelling that I've wanted from this show every week, and I'll reiterate it. The show gives me exactly what I need to move forward to the next episode. And I think even in these moments when I don't feel like it's giving me what I need, it's doing that on purpose. So I feel like we are meant to feel somewhat like we did at the end of Last Jedi, where it's just kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where the story could go or what the avenues, you could make up a whole bunch of stuff in your head to try to figure out what may or may not happen. So outside of a lot of the in-story, in-series questions that we've had, as well as just more validity to the Boba theories, the Boba rumors, I don't think there was too much other canon stuff going on here. Obviously, seeing that the Kaminoans had a new planet was very, very cool. Or not a new planet, it looked like an abandoned planet, but having another planet, another research area, something else going on, that place looked pretty sinister. I don't know why it felt completely abandoned, but also not abandoned. So that's interesting to see what they got going on there, if we touch on that again. As well, it looked very much Bespin-like, so I probably missed that as well, because after that Fallen Order Braca reference that I completely missed, I don't trust myself at all, so I have to watch this at least one more time to make sure I figure out what that just was. But it was very clearly supposed to be Bespin inspired. So I don't know if that's supposed to be parallels to, like, this is the, Empire episodes, or we're in the Empire section of this series, and then we're gonna hit, Return of the Jedi a little bit later. I don't know if that's the realm they're going for, what that exactly was, but that was cool that there are more of these, worlds in the sky. Was a little confused, though, to be honest with you, when Omega took off out of that, escape pod or transport pod, whatever she ended up referring to it as, and she's plummeting down to the surface of this gas planet, whatever this is, and then the Bad Batch just happened to swoop her up. I don't know how that physically worked. That is a feat of piloting right there. That seemed very, very difficult. So slightly unbelievable, but I'm glad that it wasn't something else. That did feel like a good fit, unless it was going to be another bounty hunter. I didn't or if she went with Fennec. I would have just liked her, I think, at the end of the day, to go with Fennec, but that Fennec story, as far as this goes, seems to be wrapped up a little bit, and I feel like when she does return, because I think she will be returning, I feel like she's gonna come to the aid of the Bad Batch. I definitely feel like we're pushing her to be an anti-hero and show a little more of her sensitive side that we didn't get to see in that one episode of the first season of The Mandalorian. We're seeing that more with her in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, but definitely not a whole lot. In the ending of The Mandalorian with the Book of Boba Fett stuff, you could have really played her as just a very cold, heartless person, but they're definitely choosing not to, and that's very deliberate. And again, just more aid to what's going to happen, I think, with Fennec in future Star Wars projects. Very, very excited for that. So that's pretty much it at this point, before I end up doing a rewatch and probably having 100 more questions, as always, 100 more little Easter eggs that pop up that I didn't catch on this first one. But like I said, I'm very excited to see where they go with this. I'm very excited to see how they're going to be using bounty hunters, Cad Bane, where Fennec's story is going and how that's involved with all this and what it means for the rest of Star Wars. It's very interesting to see what's gonna happen with Omega and how the Batch sort of react at this point. What sort of new life are they gonna try to be forming? I really don't know at this point. They are very much on the run still. I don't feel like this means that they can breathe easy and go back to working jobs for Sid. But at the same time, what else do you do? Where else do you go? How do you move forward from this point? Anyway, I am going to go rewatch this episode to see all the little things that I missed, and I highly encourage you do the same. As well, if you don't watch these episodes with subtitles or with the descriptive audio feature, if there is one for this, those are my 2 tips. Make sure to go check these episodes out, maybe after a rewatch. I like to watch them clean, the way that they're meant to be viewed, and then go back and rewatch them with subtitles, as well as descriptive audio, if that's there. Now, those two things are just going to give you a lot more information. If you haven't seen, there are some things like when we first were on Braca and we met that, water creature, it was confirmed within the subtitles that that was a Dianoga. I haven't listened to the descriptive audio for a few of these, so I'm not sure if that was also mentioned, but little things like that also get mentioned in the descriptive audio. So make sure that you guys, if you really want to soak up every last little drop of what these have to offer, check out the descriptive audio and check out the subtitles. That's my tip for the day. Anyway, guys, thank you all for joining me on another Bad Batch reaction here on the Canon Collector channel. Make sure to like this video if you want to see more reactions to this series, as well as a bunch of other Star Wars stuff coming out. There's a High Republic novel, or there's a few High Republic books coming out that I will absolutely be reviewing. So if you'd like to see more of that, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We have a ton of stuff coming up, a bunch more plot summaries, more reactions, reviews, and some fun video gameplay in the works for a little bit later on, so make sure to stay tuned for that as well. You can also check us out on Instagram and on TikTok at The Canon Collector. Once again, guys, thank you all for checking out this video. We hoped that you enjoyed our reaction, and we hope that you've been enjoying the Bad Batch so far. We'll see you guys next week when we react to episode 10 of the Bad Batch. As always, may the spires keep you, and may the Force be with you. See ya.